Fifth graders, it's Mrs. Trombley. Mrs. Trombley has a bit of a sore throat, so it is me. I know I sound a little strange, plus it's really early in the morning. So we're gonna make our Chapter 2 Foldable study review for social studies today. So you'll need a copy of the attached document, and you should have 16 different questions here. So we're gonna start off and make the foldable part. So if you remember from last time, we take each sheet. So I'm gonna start with the one with the number 1. And you fold it hot dog with the words on the outside, like that. Then you open it back up, and we're just gonna cut on the dashed line to the center, not all the way across. So make sure you open it back up, and then we're gonna cut just on the dashed line to the center so that it's like that. So go ahead and do that. And I'll do it too, and if you don't have enough time, you can always pause it. So right now we're just getting it set up so that we have a little flap so we can quiz ourselves. You're gonna have a test on this stuff. This is a really useful tool, right? Hopefully you saw that last time, because you guys did awesome. So it ends up looking like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with my second one as well. Folding it hot dog. Then before you cut, make sure you open it back up. And then cut on the dashed line just to the center. Do not cut all the way across. You'll have to print out another one. Start again. It's not the end of the world, but I like to just do things once, you know? All right. So now, you should have 2 of these things all set, and we're gonna start with the first one. So let's write down some answers in here. It says, give an example of something included in a natural environment. Now there are a lot of things, but I know which one is gonna be on your test, so let's use that one, okay? So an example of something included in a natural environment, I'm gonna open it up and write a number 1. Plants. Those are things found in nature, right? So not factories or stores. Like this is something found in nature. Okay. Number 2, what was the purpose of an origin story? So open that up. And why were the origin stories told? They were told to explain how Earth and people came to be. Okay, so explain how Earth and people came to be. Remember, they are stories. They're not written down. They're usually told orally, and they're not necessarily true stories. They're just trying to explain how Earth and people came to be. All right, number 3, where did the Hopies believe the first people lived? So think back to that story we read in our book. They thought that they lived inside Earth. Remember that, where it's like 7 to 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit? I know. And we said that one probably wasn't true, right? So inside Earth. And if I'm writing too fast, then pause me, because you can. This is a video. All right. Number 4, list the 3 big game animals hunted by the first Americans. So I know there were a lot of animals that were hunted, but there were 3 specific big game animals that were mentioned. So open it up, write a number 4. And the 3 that we said were bison, mammoth, and caribou. So again, there were others, but these were the 3 big game. Okay, we're on number 5. How did early Native Americans adapt to their environment as they migrated? So as the people were moving through from one place to another, they basically adapted to what they were surrounded by, right? So they just used what was around them in nature. So for number 5, go ahead and open that up and write a number 5, and we're gonna say, by using what was around them in nature. Right. If you need to finish writing, go ahead and pause it. Number 6, Where did most early Native Americans choose to settle? So they're kind of traveling, right? They're migrating along, and where do you think most people would want to settle? Me, I'd want to settle by the closest target. Okay, they didn't have targets, so they wanted to settle where there were a lot of natural resources. So open up 6. Rich is the word we can use. Rich natural resources. Okay. Number 7, give 3 examples of how the Inuits used the natural resources around them to adapt to their environment. So remember, this was the people group that was settled in the Arctic, right? Where it's like sheets of ice and snow, freezing. So let's think of some of the things that they did. Remember the coolest one we talked about in class? They made the first snow goggles. Snow goggles made from bone, from animals. All right, and then their homes. They built igloos out of ice and snow. And then, I can't not say it, the sealskin float. To tire out those animals that they harpooned. I know, it's true. Okay, we're on number 8. And again, if you don't have all that written down, just press pause, no need to stress. Which continent do most scientists believe the first Americans came from? Do you remember? That would be Asia. Oops, it doesn't look like a good 8, there we go. Okay, so that's our first one. Now we need to make our second one. Get that in front of you. Number 9. When did these first Americans come to our continent? So remember, they traveled from Asia, and there's a body of water, right? But it was all frozen over because remember what was going on? The last ice age. So open up the flap for number 9, and you can say the last ice age. I think I've seen the movie Ice Age like 300 times. That was one of my kids' favorites when they were little. We watched it a lot. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Okay, now we have a true or false. Early Native Americans used natural resources they found in an area where they lived to survive. So as the people were migrating, did they use the resources around them to live? Yes, that's true. That's what we've been talking about, right? This whole chapter. True. Okay, number 11, a tale that a group of people tell about where people came from and how the earth came to be. That's the origin story, right? So open up 11. Origin story. Okay. Number 12. To move from one region of the world to another region of the world. Okay. So if you're moving from one region to the other, this is called migration, right? So we're going to say migrate. That's the process of moving. You're going to migrate. Cruising along. Number 13, the natural surroundings of a place, including land, water, air, plants, and animals. We talked about 4 of them in this chapter. That would be environment. So open it up, put a number 13. I always say environment, and that's how I remember how to spell it. After all these years, still the same. Okay, number 14. To adjust or change ideas and ways of living to fit a new situation. So when you're adjusting, you are adapting. So number 14 is adapt. Adapt and adjust both start with A. That's one way to remember it. That's how I did back in the day. We're almost there. Something from nature that is useful to people, such as soil, water, and mineral. Those would be natural resources. So open up 15, natural resources. And we're on our very last one, movement of people from one country or area of the world to another. And yes, this is migration. Very similar to the other one we said. That was just migrate. This is migration. I won't make them both choices, so don't worry. It'll be two separate questions. Migration. Okay, so this is the information that you're going to need to study for your Chapter 2 test, which will be coming soon. I'm not going to say when, because I might use this video again next year, and it could be a different day. So make sure you're going through, and again, to quiz yourself, you just look at the front. Give an example of something included in a natural environment. Oh yeah, that's what we said, plants. Boom, I got it right. So that's all you do. Quiz yourself here, open it up, see if you're right. Once you go through all of them and you go back through a second time, maybe put stars next to the ones that you know, and then go over the ones that don't have the stars and keep going over them until they all have stars. All right, thanks for watching.